Hi guys, one of my biggest criticisms of the Brexit referendum was that you asked members of the public to vote on something they clearly didn't understand. And because the government didn't provide people with sufficient information, that gap was filled by politicians who each have their own personal agenda. Now, because the European Convention on Human Rights debate is starting to sound a lot like Brexit, we're seeing similar problems. Now, Politics Joe visited Nigel Farage's Clacton constituency, where they asked members of the public for their opinion from an objective point of view, so stripping away the politics, and they got some interesting answers. But when they added Nigel Farage to the mix, we'll have a listen to what happened.
Do you agree that everyone should have the right to a fair trial?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah. Goes without saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. Depends on the crime, yes.
The right to freedom of speech and expression?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course, yes. Definitely.
100%.
Yeah. Yes.
The right to an education?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
The right to be free from torture?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. All of those above, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yes.
Nigel Farage proposed scrapping the Human Rights Act to make it easier to deport migrants.
But here's what we have to do to make Operation Restoring Justice actually work. We have to leave the ECHR. No ifs, no buts. It may have been a good idea 80 years ago. Frankly, it isn't today.
We've come to Clacton to see what his constituents think of it. Were you aware that all of those rights are given to us by the Human Rights Act?
Right.
And a certain politician, maybe you could guess, and said that he wanted to tear up that legislation.
Right.
Do you have any idea who it might be?
What, our government now, is it?
It's Nigel Farage, your MP.
Really?
Yeah, are you a bit surprised by that?
I think the rights in those who come over here, they need to earn the rights. Yeah.
So you supported the idea of human rights, but as soon as we inject immigration into it, as soon as we say, well, Nigel Farage wants to tear them up, then we need to have two sets of rights. So rights for British people and a separate set of rights for everyone else. That's not how human rights work. There aren't two groups of humans, okay? Once again, it's like Brexit. You know, we like certain foreigners, but we don't like other foreigners. And I think it was James O'Brien who brought up the point, no, I didn't vote to kick you out. I voted to kick out the people that the Daily Mail told me about, or the Express, or Nigel Farage described. So when we saw Europeans removed or leaving the United Kingdom after Brexit, the response from many Brexit supporters was, no, I didn't mean you. I meant the phantom people who are coming over and living off the state and stuff like that.
We put a lot into where we are today, and it's been taken away from us.
Mm-hmm.
No, it won't.
Nigel Farage is plans to take away those protections, not the rights, but the protections. Like, it's been presented to you. Do you support human rights? Yes, I do. Do you support the right to a free trial, the right to freedom of expression? Yes, I support those things. Nigel Farage is going to take those away, and you still support Nigel Farage. You actually thought it was the government that was going to take those rights away, those protections. You know, her response was, yeah, it's probably the government. No, it's actually Nigel Farage, your local MP, and you actually support that.
Surprised at all. I just know Farage locally.
Does that concern you? What do you think about that?
It doesn't really concern me. I think Farage is going the right way. I think Starmer's going the wrong way.
Again,
Keir Starmer is not taking your rights away, unless you're Palestine Action maybe. But generally, he's not taking your human rights away. Nigel Farage is talking about leaving the European Convention on Human Rights, tearing up the Human Rights Act. He's the one who's going to take your rights away. And you're saying, well, I'm more concerned about Keir Starmer than Nigel Farage. Like, the guy who's literally telling you, I'm going to take away those protections, you're on the side of him.
Yes, I would say it might have been Farage.
Why would you guess that?
He's very outspoken, but he says what people want to hear, sort of thing. So he's a bit of...
So people want to hear, yes, I want you to strip away protections for me in order to strip away protections for a very small group of people who have pretty much no impact on my life.
The rogue at times. He says a lot of things, but whether he'll follow through on them, it's a different matter, sort of.
Is that a risk worth taking? It's like when, once again, with Brexit, some people are saying, well, if we leave the European Union, maybe it's going to be all that much of a problem. I'm sure the European Union will do a good deal with us. It's a lot of scaremongering. The question would have been back in 2016, is it worth taking that risk?
But I do agree with a lot of his policies, sort of thing,
I think he's done the right thing, to be honest, with what he's been saying, but at the same time, I'm not really much into government stuff, so it is what it is at the end of the day, to be honest.
So here is a voter or somebody who's, I'm not interested in government stuff, whatever the hell that is meant to mean. I'm not interested in politics generally, but I like Nigel Farage. So Farage is very good at tapping into, I'm not a real politician. I'm not your typical politician. I'm just your guy down the pub. I'm somebody who says things as they are. He's using the sort of Trump line, which is extremely concerning, because I keep saying that he wants to copy and paste Trumpism into the UK. And I've said this before, when it comes to a potential cabinet, Nigel Farage is not going to probably put politicians in most positions in cabinet. He's going to do like what the United States does, and he's going to put people who are loyal to him, maybe business owners or people in the media. He's going to put those people in positions of power within the government, which is insane. I'm not saying objectively it's a bad thing, but when it comes to Farage, the people who he's going to put in charge.
Are you concerned at all that like any of those rights that are protected would be unprotected if he did scrap it?
Yeah, because I feel like Clacton's getting run down a bit with other people coming in, and we're losing jobs, losing places to live, and losing out on a lot of money for our community. And if he scraps everything, then Clacton's just going to go downhill.
And our rights...
Okay, so the ECHR is not related to what's happening in Clacton directly, but an administration run by Nigel Farage, does anyone honestly think he's going to try and level up the country? Do you think he's going to attract investment to places like Clacton? He doesn't even spend half his time in Clacton. Is Nigel Farage going to look after Clacton? Well, no, he's not, because he doesn't even care about Clacton.
Then Clacton's just going to go downhill.
And our rights don't mean anything anymore. It belongs to someone else who wasn't born or bred in this country.
Our rights don't mean anything anymore. Like you were a moment ago saying, yes, I support human rights, I support the right to a free trial, I support freedom of expression, and now you're saying the rights don't mean anything anymore. Well, you are able to do these things. Once again, caveat, if you're Palestine Action, you can't. But generally, you're allowed to protest, you're allowed to criticize the government, you're allowed to do these things. Nigel Farage, your guy, wants to take these things away from you. But I don't understand. People seem to think that Nigel Farage will only come after the rights of foreign people. He's coming after everyone's rights.
It's an unfair system at the moment.
Yeah.
Us people, British people, our voice is not heard.
How high up on your list of concerns as a voter is immigration?
Oh, it's got out of hand. We've got 3 more years of our Labour government. By then, England's finished. We are finished.
Why is that?
Taxes. Keeps taking money. And us who work, who have a house, who pay our bills, we don't get any help. But we've been taxed on it to provide for others who haven't put a penny in the system.
Is that...
How do we respond to things like this? She thinks that the problem is taxes, when the problem is very, very rich people are not paying their taxes. She's seeing public services not properly funded, which is correct, because the richest people in society are not paying their taxes, are not paying their fair share. More and more people see, look, I'm paying taxes, I'm working hard, and I'm getting nothing in return. And unfortunately, Farage and the far right are tapping into that, saying, hey, you're working hard, and you have these other people who are doing nothing. That's unfair. And this idea of unfairness is really powerful.
Is that your highest concern, is immigration or tax, or is there...
This country's just falling apart.
Really?
And we can't do nothing about it. We are governed by them, the government, who don't live in the real world.
Nigel Farage.
It was Nigel Farage.
No.
Are you surprised by that?
Oh, not at all, no.
Why are you not surprised?
Well, they're basic English values, aren't they?
British values, so obviously Nigel would be up for that, yeah.
He was proposing getting rid of the piece of legislation that gives us those rights yesterday.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What rights were he banning with?
So he proposed scrapping the Human Rights Act, which enshrines the right to fair trial.
Is that a European Human Rights Act?
Yeah, so the European Convention of Human Rights is enshrined in the...
This has nothing to do with the questions you asked before, because the questions you asked before are enshrined in the British law.
He heard the word European and he went, oh, that's not British. I give up. You're presented, these are human rights. He supported them. Then he heard the word European and he says, well, Nigel Farage is obviously on our side. This guy is so embedded in the idea that Nigel Farage is his friend or his savior that when he's presented with evidence to the contrary, he has a meltdown. He's, then it must be European. Then European, we don't want anything European. He doesn't understand that the UK is part of Europe, not the European Union, part of Europe. Oh my goodness, I give up at this stage.
But it's not to say that scrapping the European Human Rights Act would actually scrap those things that you asked me earlier on.
Well, he proposed scrapping the Human Rights Act 1998, which is a British law, which prescribes it in these rights in our law, and he proposed scrapping that yesterday.
I'd have to see what he said yesterday. Sorry, I wasn't. What was it?
I can't believe that Nigel Farage would strip away my protections in the same way that Nigel Farage campaigned to leave the European Union, which would strip away protections for the environment, for workers, for consumers. I can't believe that Nigel Farage would do that. Okay, he's done it before, but I can't believe he'd do it again.
Wasn't up with it. It was at a Coldplay concert last night. So.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if any of the new MPs, to be honest with you.
Really?
But most of them are quite corrupt, so...
Well, I'm assuming because you're in Clacton, it'll be Nigel Farage.
Yeah. Are you surprised by that?
No, not really.
Why are you not surprised?
Well, I'm not big into politics, to be honest with you, but I know with regards to kind of his movement, kind of when he first had come onto the scene, a lot of it was kind of, I suppose, getting on the bandwagon, if that's the right way of putting it, or really looking at views that are probably a little bit more against the norm, if that makes sense.
How long have you lived in Clacton?
18 years.
How has Clacton changed in that time?
To me, it's got better because the things they're putting in Clacton, like the seafront and things like that, more things going on. Mm-hmm. But certain areas of Clacton have gone downhill, where you've got people who have moved in and the area has gone down.
As voters, what sort of issues matter to you when you go to the ballot box?
Probably migration is one of the big things we're on about, because the country is getting overwhelmed and having to pay for the migrants in this country is hurting the economy.
Is what Nigel Farage said, or what Nigel Farage stands for, is that quite appealing to you then?
Yes, we follow him quite regularly. We go to his speeches on the seafront. We voted for him. We always vote reform. And when we had the cancellation of the local elections, we was looking forward, because we wanted to vote for reform.
Oh, God. Why is it always the same sort of people? Elderly people who are pretty well off. Nigel Farage tries to appeal to the most vulnerable in society, working class people who are struggling, people who are concerned about poverty and housing. But in reality, his support base seems to be older middle class people. Why is that? So just to conclude here, Nigel Farage is tapping into something that people are angry about. They're angry about immigration, but they don't seem to understand that human rights are for humans. There isn't two-tier human rights. There isn't human rights for one group of people and human rights for another. And if he strips away human rights in general, everyone is going to be impacted. Now, the human rights will remain. It's the protections that are important. And you're going to hear people online say, oh, well, it's not the human rights. The human rights, we had human rights before the European Union, or before the European Convention on Human Rights, or before, Europe was a thing. But in reality, it's the protections that we have to be concerned about. And Farage wants to strip away those protections. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.